As someone who left their home country 10 years ago to settle in a new continent, in a new country, and found themselves immersed in a society where all the social codes were completely different from what I had known, rebuilding a social cycle wasn't easy. I think loneliness is one of the main causes of depression, especially in countries known for high quality of life like Switzerland or Sweden or even Norway. I believe this video will resonate with many people, especially those in their 30s or in their 20s like me, who had to rebuild everything from scratch in a new environment. See, my situation was somewhat unique because I left Cameroon and started this adventure with a longtime friend. We were both in the same business school and in the same class, so it was easier for me to deal with loneliness because I arrived in this new country with my buddy. We even shared an apartment back then. At that time, I only know him, but I still managed to expand my circle of friends later on. How? Quite simply by becoming friends with some of my classmates. But that wasn't easy either. Let's be real. Generally speaking, French people are very distant and condescending towards foreigners, especially if you come from Africa like me. And in business school, it's even worse. Your classmates will look down on you, barely speak to you, mock your accent or clothes. And when it comes to group work, they often do everything on their own without including you. Then tell the teacher behind your back that you didn't do anything. I do clearly remember that in my classroom, the first thing you noticed when you walked in was the division. French students on one side and foreigners on the other side. The only reason for that divide was that the white French students didn't want to mix with us. I even remember that one morning on my way to class, I ran into a group of about 5 or 6 classmates standing in the hallway just outside the classroom. I said hello to them and they all looked at me in silence. I looked at them again and said hello a second time, thinking they didn't hear me the first time. They just kept staring and then slowly turned their face away, one by one. That's when I realized they weren't going to respond. So I just walked into the classroom to wait for the next class. And as I sat down, I could hear them laughing behind my back. But what really helped me expand my social cycle despite all these difficulties was the fact that there were quite a few international students in my class. So I became friends with other people who were also in the same social cycle and social situation as me. People like me living far from home, having the same struggles, which brings me to my first point on how to make friends. Meet people who share your social context. People generally find it easier to relate to those who have a similar story because it's comforting. They realize they're not alone. They feel like there's something to share, some common ground. And I'm not telling you to go on a manhunt throughout your city. What I mean is, look at your immediate environment first. It could be your classroom, your workplace, anywhere you go regularly. I'm a pretty quiet person when I don't know people or when I'm in unfamiliar places. But going to the same place regularly, you start seeing the same people again and again. Eventually that leads to conversation, exchanging contacts, and forming meaningful friendships over time. If you're in your late 20s or early 30s and beyond, you're probably in a phase where it's getting harder and harder to make new friends. Whether you're in your home country or you've moved across the world, the older we get, the smaller our social cycle becomes. I'm experiencing that in my life right now. In my 20s, I felt like I never had time. I was always invited somewhere. I was always having a birthday, grabbing drinks, going out, planning trips with friends, shopping. I was constantly on demand. But something strange starts to happen when you're 30s. You begin to slow down. You become clearer about what you want, who you want to be, who you want to spend your time with, and how you want to use your free time. In your 30s, you don't have as much energy as you had in your 20s. It's almost like you finally realize how precious time really is. You no longer want to waste time doing things that don't align with who you are, with people who no longer align with you. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, being somewhere with people you've considered good friends and suddenly thinking, what am I doing here? That's what happens when you grow into a new version of yourself and your interests no longer match with theirs. That's why the best way to build or rebuild a social cycle that truly supports who you are is find shared hobbies or interests. Finding people who share your interests is not hard. You just have to go where the action is or make yourself visible. For example, if you love to play basketball like me, just find a local spot where people regularly play. That's a great way to make real connections. Or take the example of my cousin who's passionate about fashion. He made great real life friends by regularly posting his outfits on social media. Next way to make friends, dating apps. I know this might sound strange, but you can even make friends on dating apps. Even though people generally don't go on dating apps to find friends, that doesn't mean it's impossible. I'm not saying you should use dating apps specifically to make friends, but don't completely rule out the possibility. You see, most people have one goal when using dating apps, and we all know what that is, especially men. But if I had one piece of advice for both men and women, it would be to have friends of the opposite sex. Personally, I love having female friends when I move to a new city because they introduce me to places I'd never discovered if I were only surrounded by the guys. Whether it's a nice restaurant, interesting activities, or a cool neighborhood, cool spots I'd never visited otherwise, female friends have helped me step out of my comfort zone and continuously reinvent myself. Also, something I appreciate in the women I've had as friends is the loyalty. I'm just speaking from my experience, but I found that women tend to be more trustworthy and keep their words better in friendships than men. Next, go outside, get out there. I get that living abroad can be a tough experience, but staying home won't change your situation. If you made the decision to come to another country and take the leap in your life, it's because you wanted to discover the world and try something new. Now that you're there, staying inside won't help. You need to go out, meet people, talk to strangers. Don't be afraid or ashamed to strike up conversations. You see, I'm not telling you to waste money at nightclubs. No, you can go wherever there are people and be open to socializing when the opportunity comes up. Whether it's a Starbucks downtown, a festival, or a cool local event, just be present. If you've watched this far, it probably means you found something here that resonates with you. I hope it helps, especially if you're living abroad trying to build a life. If you'd like me to make more content like this, let me know in the comments. My name is Faces Attractive and I help you become the best version of yourself. Peace.